Hi everyone, this is Matt from drawingtutorialsonline.com, and this is podcast number 14, the public podcast. I've got two podcasts, one for members and one for iTunes and YouTube. Okay, so in this podcast, podcast number 14, I just want to draw some minifigures for you out of my imagination, okay? And then I have a surprise announcement at the end about a new marketing product for artists that I'm going to share with you. And guess what? It's not a product that's coming a month from now, 6 months from now. It's a product that's going to be live next week on drawingtutorialsonline.com, mid-June. I'm not going to do a full-blown product launch with DVDs and all that jazz. I'm just going to upload it right to drawingtutorialsonline.com. It will be on DVDs probably in a month, but I'm going to get it accessible to all the members of DTO immediately. But enough of that. I'll talk about it at the end of the video. Check out how I start doing these figures out of my imagination. If you've heard me talk about some of this stuff before, don't get jaded about it. Rewatch, relearn, and review what you already know. You don't always want to go on to the next thing. You want to review what you already know. Use me as like your coach to remind you of what you already know, and do these figures out of your imagination using the rough skeleton, the form, add in anatomy, add in structure, add in light and shade. That's what I'm going to show you in the next video. So check it out, and I'll talk to you soon. Hi everyone, this is Matt from drawingtutorialsonline.com, and this is iTunes podcast number 14. I've got two different podcasts. I don't mean to confuse everyone. I have a public podcast that goes on YouTube and iTunes, and I also have a private members-only podcast that is more of a step-by-step weekly tutorial. So without further ado, let's just kind of get into it. And what I want to do here, I don't know, maybe the title of this podcast could be minifigures sculpted out of your imagination. So I just want to draw a figure out of my imagination, starting with a bit of a rough skeleton. And I know looking at white paper is not the most interesting thing in the world, so I'm just going to kind of go for it, and let's see what happens. So the first thing that you really want to think about doing is starting with that oval for a rib cage. Yeah, there I am. There's my head. This is an actual human being doing this. And so basically, start with the oval for the rib cage, circle for the pelvis. Let's immediately turn that circle into a bowl shape. All right, and let's immediately look for the coastal margin of the rib cage as loosely as we can. And now let's do a quick gesture and get down to a target for right to our feet. Don't outline, just quick target. And now let's just see if we can't do that for another target for that side. Okay. If you don't love it, just leave it and keep going. So basically what I'm going to do next is just a nice simple oval for the head. So that's our basic gesture. I know you're probably looking at this like, gosh, I can't even see it. But let me keep going for you. So now let's think about the angle of the shoulders. So the angle of the shoulders, the angle of the collarbones would be next. We've established the angle of our hips. Okay, really, really important. Now I'm going to do this full blown for you. I'm going to actually throw in some light and shade, so just stick with me. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start to add some anatomy, some muscle anatomy on top of our rough skeleton. So I'm going to throw in a breast, and let's just think about highs and lows, and think about the breast resting on the rib cage. Okay, so the breasts are resting on the rib cage. Breasts are made out of water. They're going to be really pliable and malleable. Now I'm going to get in the pit of the neck, which is the center of your neck, center of your chest sternum, going down your rib cage. Let's bring this down to our navel. I know any second now I'm going to be competing with a landscaper who's next door and his leaf blower. So hopefully I can beat him to the punch. All right, because I'm here on Eastern Long Island in suburbia. So basically I've got my center line right to my navel, right to the front of my pelvis. So now let's just throw in a little edge. I'm going to kick out my rib cage, and I'm going to go back to this bowl. So everything that you do initially isn't necessarily correct. You have to adjust as you go. I'm going to widen the bowl of shape of the pelvis, and so this oblique's going to roll right in, and this is going to come. I'm going to kick my center line out, or you feel the pose a little bit differently as you work on it. So I'm going to kick this out, Okay, front of the pelvis, let's wrap around this imaginary center line going right to the front of the pelvis from the navel. Okay, cool. So let's go back up top. Let's not get stuck in one area. Let's push this rib cage. I'm being really messy today with my line for two reasons. One, so you can actually see the drawing, because I would be doing this with the least amount of line, creating the most amount of information. And two, because I'm going to add tone in. And when you add tone, all these lines just kind of go away. So I'm really working on the torso. Let's go back to the breast. Breast is made out of water. Let's rest it on that rib cage. Let's get in a little center line, a little center of the breast. And now let's leave the torso. So let's kick out this upper leg. So this comes down straight. Kick out the quad. So this would be an opposite C. Another opposite C of the inside of that upper leg, and this is going to come right into our kneecap. So I'm going to put down the letter V over here. It's kind of like a letter V, like almost like a knee pad. You've got to think of it that way. So we've got an opposite C, opposite C, opposite C. All the weight is going to be on this foot right underneath the center of the neck, and I'm just going to put a target down here for where I want that foot. I'm not necessarily going to draw the foot out just yet. I mean, I can draw in part of the tibia and the fibula down over here just to kind of place it, but let's leave it at that. And now let's come back and there's patterns to the legs. So outside of the hip is going to be an opposite C, inside of that knee, going right to the tibia again, heel, and then that foot. So let's leave that. Let's go back and work on the shoulders up top. So I'm going to think of the shoulders as a simple cylinder. Let's droop the shoulders a little bit more. And now what do we want these arms doing? That's a good question. I'm just going to have her hands come up a little bit. So I'm just putting in a bit of a gesture. Okay, so now we're going to her head is really kind of tilted over. I like it there. I should have just left it for the sake of time. I just moved it a little bit. Let's give a little wrap around. Everything's wrapping around. Let's throw in a little more anatomy. So I'm thinking about anatomy and form simultaneously. Yeah, I definitely should have left it where I had it. No problem. We're going to turn that into shape of hair, shape of face. Okay, cool. So now we've got our figure, we've utilized some rough skeleton, we've utilized some muscle anatomy, we've utilized some form, we've utilized some line that wraps around a form, we've utilized opposite Cs which show patterns on the body. So now I think what I'm going to do with this, I'm going to have the line come right up, the light come right up from up above. So I'm going to, everything that is an underplane, this breast is an underplane, this rib cage is an oval, so it starts to turn under over here. Okay, so I'm going to have that breast cast a shadow on that underplane. Okay, so I'm scribbling in essence. So this breast is a sphere, so halfway over, it's going to be in shadow from this line down. And so now this stomach, basically, if we go back to the peanut shape, this is a round ball. So from that ball down, now our lower abs are an underplane. So let's put a little bit of tone. Okay, so now this is another big oval ball, the upper leg. Let's establish the upper leg a little bit more detail. Okay, so from here down starts to go into shadow. Okay, so now I'm going to say all the lower legs are going to be in shadow. And let's cast shadow that the head is casting on the neck since the light's coming directly from up above. And so if the light's coming directly from up above, this upper arm is going to be in shadow. This muscle point of the forearm is going to be catching light. It's top plane. Forearm is going to be in shadow. All of this is going to be in shadow. Side plane of that hand is going to be in shadow. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just quickly going to grab another pencil and let's see what we can do here with this model. So I'm going to hint at some bangs Okay, I'm going to hint at the side of her face. And let's go back now. Slow our hand down. Slow our hand down. Put in a little ear. Oh God, now my hand's shaky. I'm going to think about a little bit of anatomy. Let's outline some of this stuff. Let's put this accent in where this arm touches that rib cage. Okay, I'll work on this a little bit more for you. Let's make this rib cage a little bit more. It needs to come out more. So coastal margin would wrap up, and then our coastal margin is going to be a little bit more over here. So I'm thinking about anatomy big time, and I'm adjusting my anatomy as I go. I can sit here and just adjust it forever. This is going to wrap in. This is going to be a little lower wrap in. Let's go, keep working our way down and into the kneecap area we go. This is too round and generic for me, so I'm going to make it a little less round, a little bit more complicated. We have our tibia right down over here. Fibula bone's going to stick out right on the outside and come right down to our ankle. Let's raise the upper tibia. And let's just shade this. Again, we're not outlining. This would be catching a little bit of light perhaps. And front plane of the toes would be catching light. So you want to really get into the habit of doing these little mini figures. I could push this big time. I just got to be careful of my time. Just if you run into issues, wrap these ovals around. Try not to go too crazy with it. Wrap the ovals around. Okay, that's going to just show your form. I hear our landscape leaf blower out there. That's beautiful. Okay, so I could stop this podcast, but yeah, that is my first figure. Let's do another quick one down right over here now. Let's do like half a body. So basically, let's start with our peanut shape. Okay, and with that peanut shape comes our rib cage. And then I'm going to kick out this person's butt. Okay, add a little bit of sacrum, a little bit of center line, and then I'm just going to throw in a little bit of a head right over there. And then this leg is going to be foreshortened. Am I in the screen? Yes, good. Okay, so let's stop. Okay, so basically let's go back to form. Form is going to be, we have a ball shape for the bottom of the peanut. I'm all over the place in this video, in case you haven't noticed. I'm not teaching one technique. I'm just showing you how I'd go about teaching all the techniques to my students. So perhaps I've got to think about a little bit of anatomy up over here, a little bit of anatomy with that trapezius muscle. Let's slow down and think it through a little bit. You hear that leaf blower? Isn't it beautiful? They did that special for podcast number 14. They waited for me to film this thing. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is turn this knee into a block. Hopefully you don't even hear it and you're like, what the heck is he even talking about? And let's throw this head down. And so it's a bit of a different pose. Let me slow down and let me look for more anatomy. I'm going to wrap and I'm going to bring down that scapula. Okay, and let's focus on this back. Kick out the rib cage, and then the rib cage is going to wrap in. So what we can do here is we can wrap these things around, because this thing is totally round, this is totally round, and let's just give this person some hair. This is the bottom of our cranium. This is our skull. And I think what I need to do is add the light now. Because a lot of this, you don't have to outline. You can do it with light. I don't like this rib cage is kicking out too much. Okay, so now we've got our body down. Where's the light coming from? I'm going to say the light's coming from a little bit from the left this time. So I'm going to just scribble, and this whole leg's going to be in shadow. think of the leg as a box and a cylinder at the same time. Okay, and light's coming from that way, so maybe this part of the bottom of the skull, depending on what their hair is going to be. Okay, so this is how you want to do. Basically, in a nutshell, drawing is really hard. You can't, and I'm scribbling here. You guys see how I'm drawing. I'm not drawing tight. I can draw tight, but I'm choosing not to because that might be a little boring on a podcast. But you guys want to get into the habit, if you want to learn how to draw people out of your imagination, to take the pressure off of yourself and to trick your brain and to just draw these little mini figures in your sketchbook, okay? Do them with form, do them with the rough skeleton, add some anatomy onto the rough skeleton. How do you learn anatomy? One step at a time. Yes, it is extremely overwhelming, but just learn one muscle at a time, okay? I think you want to start with the rough skeleton and go there first, and then after you've learned the rough skeleton, you want to just sculpt out all the different muscles. Okay, so we have our S-curve for that spine, kind of cruising all the way down. Now, what's new at drawingtutorialsonline.com? Well, today, what do I have out? Do I have anything out? I have a podcast already on iTunes on the model and factors, but I'm redoing a lot of stuff. I did a podcast, a member-only podcast on the model and factors, okay? And I drew it all out, and then I related it, and I give my students on the website photo reference that they can draw from, and I show them where they apply theory to photos. Okay, so that's what we're up to. We're on step number 13, I believe, member-only podcast, which is the model and factors. Now, again, I've done them before, but I've gotten better in my old age, and so I'm redoing some of the video. Now, what's upcoming, which is big and huge, is this. I'm going to kind of go quickly with this because I don't want to give anything away. But I've got this mind map. Okay, it's huge. It teaches basically how to earn a living as an artist. It's going to be titled The Financially Secure Artist. Now, I was going to go huge with this, and I was going to make a huge product launch, 4 DVDs, the whole 9 yards. But I'm not going to do that. I mean, yes, it's going to go on DVDs, but I am going to put it on Drawing Tutorials Online first because I'm pretty loyal to the members who are loyal to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start uploading the first chapter of that mind map next week onto Drawing Tutorials Online. And while I'm uploading it to that site, yeah, I'm totally going to make it into DVD. So if you don't want to join the site, if you don't like the site, or the site's just not for you, or you think I'm some kind of con artist trying to take your money, I'm not trying to do that. You can just buy the DVD, and this will give you massive value. Raise your hand. How many of you guys want to earn a living as an artist? Does this look hard? Is this like sweating, painting the side of the house or doing something that you don't necessarily want to do? Earning a living as an artist is one of the best things you can do if you love art, and that's what this DVD is going to be all about. It's going to teach you what I teach in my advanced illustration class. It's called Advanced Illustration and the Marketplace. This series of DVDs, which is first going to be put on drawingtutorialsonline.com, is going to teach you how to have financial security, earning a living as an artist. Who doesn't want to do that? I don't know. I think everyone who is an artist wants to be financially secure, earning a living, doing their own art, and that's what this is going to be all about, because I've done it, I'm doing it now, and I'm here to try to help you guys out and add value to your life, because when I was in my 20s, early 20s, my life basically sucked because I didn't know how to do all this stuff, all this marketing and all this mindset stuff that I teach my students at SVA, but I don't really teach that stuff on the website. So I'm going to be doing that, and I'm going to be doing it starting next week. I think today's date is June 15th. So starting the week of the 21st, this stuff's going to be live at DTO, and I will be making it into a series of DVDs that will be for sale for non-members of drawingtutorialsonline.com. All right, so thank you very much for watching this podcast. I hope you gleaned something from it. I might work on these a little bit more and upload the video to DTO. So thanks again for watching, and I appreciate all of your feedback. Have a great day. Okay, so I teased you a little bit on that podcast about this marketing product that's going to be titled The Financially Secure Artist. Who of us wouldn't want to be a financially secure artist? Again, I'm going to have this stuff live next week. Today, I think, is June 12th. This stuff's going to be live on drawingtutorialsonline.com. Unless a hurricane happens and blows down my studio, I will start uploading this content, which is extremely different than anything else I've ever produced. It's my advanced illustration and the marketplace class that I teach at the School of Visual Arts will now be accessible to people, and I'm just trying to add value to your life so you can earn a living doing what you want to do, which is creating your own artwork. I mean, who wouldn't want to do that? So thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.